think I'll just stick with the announcement. Yeah, thanks, Melissa. Yeah. This is a new day. This is a new day full of sound and light. I feel like the sunshine is going to do most of the work for us today. And expectation. This day has been waiting for you. It's been waiting especially for you to embrace you, to guide you. This day has been waiting with open arms. Just for you. This is the day we have been given. Let's not waste it. Come now and let us worship together. And please rise and bow your spirit for our first hymn.
Not afar for beauty, lo, it glows into wet grasses all about your feet, in birds in sunshine, childish faces sweet. in stars and mountain summits topped with snows. Go not abroad for happiness, behold, it is a flower blooming at your door. Bring love and laughter home and evermore. Joy shall be yours as changing years unfold. In wonder workings o'er some bush, we look for truth and fancy it concealed. But in earth's common things it stands revealed, while grass and flowers and stars spell out the name.
Good morning, everyone. How are you doing this morning? Good. Well, I'm glad you're here. So note, for people who are here in the sanctuary, if you love the sunshine, this side is the best side. And if you're like me and it gets a little overwhelming and you get a little blinded, you can always come over here. It's the shady side. And for those at home, we're so glad that you're with us and so glad that you're here to join us on this beautiful day. I'm sure it's beautiful, even though I know some of you are tuning in from parts of the country and the world. I hope it's beautiful where you are too and you can see it and appreciate it. If you look at the back of your order of service, we have a number of really cool events. Two of them actually happening today. One of them is the Healthy Congregation Ministry Workshop. That's going to be at 12:30 p.m. There's a really nice blurb on the back of your order of service about what that's about. I believe it's open to everybody to be able to come, and it's going to be available for those online too. It's going to be in Schweitzer Lounge today at 12:30 p.m. Should be really good. We have a lot of good folks on that team, and it'll be great to hear what they have to say and show everyone. It'll be really good. And then we have a UU Social Justice Committee meeting also happening at 12:30 p.m. in the youth room. For those who are here at the church, it's going to be the last room on the left down the hallway. That's also, I think, going to be able to be on Zoom, I believe, on a different channel. Maybe. It is not on Zoom. Okay. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, so that'll be available for those in person, and you will hear about it soon, I'm sure, because social justice is really what all of us are caring about right now. So you'll hear about it too. And save the date, March 14th, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. We have so many good people working on this. A spring coffee house fundraiser. It's going to be a lot of fun. Poetry, music, art, just creativity in all its forms. So save the date. That's going to be Saturday, March 14th at 7 p.m., and it's open to everyone. So join us for that. I now would love to invite Tracy for our chalice lighting.
Good morning. This is from the New York Times newsletter provided for me by James Stone, courtesy of James. I didn't really know who James Vanderbeek, the star of Dawson's Creek, was before he died from cancer at 48. I'd seen his Gosling-esque face in old reruns on TV, but I'd missed the initial craze. Still, I was struck while reading his obituary by something he'd said recently on the Today Show. After cancer, I feel like a connection to God, whatever that is kind of the whole point of this exercise on the planet. There is so much packed into that line. He expresses faith, God. He qualifies it, whatever that is. He takes as a given that there is a whole point at all. And the last part has looped through my head all week. What is this exercise on the planet? What are we all doing here? At a bodega, a man put my iced matcha latte into a can and then sealed it in a bespoke machine for matcha canning. This exercise. At the headquarters for the Times Wirecutter team, where journalists test thousands of products, I sat in a $7,000 massage chair and watched various laundry detergents struggle to dissolve chili oil stains. This planet. It made me think of Simone Weil, the 20th century philosopher and mystic who died at 34 after a hunger strike protesting World War II. Attention, taken to its highest degree, is the same thing as prayer, she wrote. My prayer, then, was perhaps uninspired this week. I sat through many meetings. I saw a fight on the subway. I ate ramen. I was cold. The goal, said Weil, and the British writer Iris Murdoch after her, was to unself. The whole point, in their supposition, was to turn one's attention toward the bigger questions. The question, then, is how? What can help us turn our attention to those things that will alter us and elevate our mundane quotidian lives when we're hardwired for selfishness? The writer Marina Keegan called it our immutable solipsism. We can only see the world through our own eyes, process it through our own brain. Our pain, a hangnail, a stubbed toe, the grief of all of our losses, centers us inside our own bodies. We're distracted constantly by the hard work of living. Mary Oliver, the poet, had a suggestion. She said that noticing things like a swallow or the golden air of summer was a good first step. But she said that attention was a serious project, one that demanded emotional commitment. Attention without feeling, she wrote, is only a report. An openness and empathy was necessary if the attention was to matter. Religion is designed to help with this. It creates spaces, rituals, hymns, and liturgies to help us meditate, even for a moment, on the transcendent, the sublime, the other. And so we light this chalice today in celebration of our church.
And now let's go greet each other, say hello, especially if it's someone you haven't met before.
Good morning. So I just want to let you all know that the story that we started last week is going to be finished next week, okay? So today we're going to do a Unitarian Universalist Minute, and it's about a 5-minute mystery that we will call the mystery of the dedicated reformer. What is a UU Minute, you may ask? Well, I'm going to tell you about someone who helped push our Unitarian Universalist faith toward what we say we value: courage, justice, and love, a love big enough to be real. And they did it through hard work and dedication. And I'm going to save their name until the end, and you can try to guess at the end, but don't shout anything out during the time that I'm giving you the description. Okay, here we go. Our mystery person was born in the early 1800s. As a child, life was not easy. Their family moved around a lot, and home did not always feel safe or kind. This kid had chores that felt unfair and heavy, work no child should have to do. By the time they were just 12 years old, they made a brave decision. They ran away to find a safer place to live. That could have been the end of the story, but dedication has a way of turning the end into the beginning. By the time our mystery person was a teenager, they were already working hard to build a new life. Imagine this: at about 14 years old, they opened a school. 14. Most kids that age are worrying about homework. This person was making the homework. They became a teacher, strict, prepared, and serious about learning. They believed something important. Teaching wasn't only about lessons, it was also about helping your community. So they didn't just teach children from families who could pay, they also started a free school at night for kids who were poor. They were dedicated, even when it wasn't easy. They also wrote books for children, books that answered curious questions like, why do we call this month January? And where do things come from? Those are real books, by the way. They didn't have a lot of formal education, but they were a lifelong learner. They read constantly, they attended lectures, they asked questions, they studied nature, plants, stars, and how the world works. Then something happened that changed everything. One day, they agreed to visit a jail to teach a simple Sunday class. Just one class, no big plan. But inside that jail, they saw something shocking. The building was cold, the conditions were filthy, and people who were sick in their minds, confused, frightened, unable to care for themselves, were being treated like criminals. Some were locked up with people who had committed serious crimes. Some were chained. Some were neglected. Our mystery person could have just walked away. Instead, dedication kicked in. First, they fought to fix what they could right away, like getting heat for the jail. But then they asked a bigger question. If it's this bad here, how bad is it everywhere else? So they did something bold, something most people wouldn't do, especially not in the 1840s, especially not as a woman traveling alone. They went looking. They visited jails and poorhouses across their state and then across the country. They didn't just listen to rumors. They didn't just accept secondhand stories. They insisted, if I'm going to speak the truth, I must see it myself. And what they found was heartbreaking. People with mental illness were sometimes kept in basements or closets. They were cold, they were hungry, they were ignored, they were treated as if they didn't matter. And here's the key. Our mystery person did not just feel sad about it. They worked, they paid attention. They took careful notes. They gathered facts. They counted how many people were trapped in awful places. They wrote powerful reports and brought them to leaders in state government. They pushed lawmakers to do something about it. They took dedication. That took dedication because not everyone wanted to hear it. Some people argued with them, some denied it, some didn't want to spend money to fix it, but our mystery person kept going state after state until hospitals were built and old places were improved. They wanted people to be cared for with dignity, not just locked away. They believed people needed clean spaces, kindness, and real help. Later, when the Civil War began, our mystery person didn't rest. They took on another huge job, helping organize nurses to care for wounded soldiers. That meant recruiting nurses, gathering supplies, and pushing for clean, safe care in crowded places. Was it easy? No. Were they perfect? No. But dedication doesn't mean perfect. It means you keep showing up. Even after the war, they kept helping, writing letters to families, helping soldiers, and returning again to fight for people with mental illness when they could. So who was this mystery person? Anybody? Yes. A teacher, a writer, a Unitarian who believed faith should turn into action, a reformer who saw suffering and refused to look away, a person who proved that dedication can change a whole country. And if you want the UU Minute message to take away with you today, it's this. Our values, courage, justice, and love aren't only words. They become real when we dedicate ourselves to doing the work. Thank you. I think that was the first time somebody guessed the person. It's really cool. Dorothea Dix. Yeah. Thank you. So I'll come down on the floor and we will do our covenant. Kids, come on up with me down to the floor up front. But you guys out there, you have your order of service. It's in your order of service. Read along with me.
Love is the spirit of this church, and service is law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
And now we'll sing our kids out, also in your order of service.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
Today's offering is when we pass this plate through our worship service, we make it to a community expression of thanks for the blessing of abundance and to support our community in a tangible way. This month, our plate goes to the League of Women Voters. On March 19th, the League of Women Voters of Greater Youngstown will be holding a ceremony and honoring the women who have empowered, educated, engaged, and advocated for the people of the Valley. 2 of the women in our congregation will be honored this year, and several have been honored in the past. Money raised for this event will support local voter education efforts, including the creation of the annual voter information guide and funding of programs aimed at empowering women and promoting civic engagement. We will now receive the offering which supports the life of this church, the Mahoning Valley, and our wider world.
When we had Greet Your Neighbor, Melissa Smith told me that for International Women's Day, to celebrate, she's doing an open house at her house on the north side. And it's open to everyone, so gosh, if we have all
No.
these people come. Oh, okay. We'll have a
Only the white one half of the population.
Okay, only for women. Okay, that's good to know.
Yep.
Only for women. But if you want that information, talk to Melissa Smith. It's just right around the corner from the church, so that's great. So you may notice the title of the service, Aktun, baby. It means pay keen attention, baby.
Listening is the oldest and perhaps the most powerful tool of healing. It is often through the quality of our listening and not the wisdom of our words that we are able to affect the most profound changes in the people around us. When we listen, we offer with our attention an opportunity for wholeness. Our listening creates a sanctuary for the homeless parts within the other person, that which has been denied, unloved, devalued by themselves and others, that which is hidden. In this culture, the spirit and the heart too often go homeless. Listening to other people, they can hear the truth in themselves, and maybe for the first time. And in the silence of listening, you can know yourself in everyone. Eventually, you may be able to hear in everyone and in yourself the unseen singing softly to itself and to you.
Volume doesn't seem good.
The sun is shining outside, right? Yay. I look around and there are times I feel like spring is in the air. It's a season of hope. What was that? Yes, when you walk outside, yes. You can see the grass and wonder, at least I wonder, about flowers that have yet to come up out of the ground, waiting to show itself. It's a remarkable thing that at any given time, our attention can be brought to what has passed already, the experiences we've had. Our attention can be brought to what is in front of us at this moment, something we've never experienced before, not quite like this. And our attention can be brought to what we hope for, what we imagine or predict for the future beyond. And what we focus our attention on can alter our life, or at least influence the quality of it. It's been a fun exercise to see where my attention is drawn to. I find I'm really drawn in by problems. Right? I don't think I'm alone in that, clearly. I seem to not focus as much on what is working, but I focus a lot on where there are problems. And you know what's funny? I'm learning I'm especially drawn to focus on problems where I can't seem to find any answers or any simple fix. Do you want an example of this? Okay. So, one of the reasons we bought our house, you can know where this is going. One of the reasons we bought our house was because it borders Mill Creek Park, one of the finest city parks in the entire country. And I've seen a number of them, so it is one of the finest parks in the entire country. We've enjoyed having deer. I've spotted everything from barred owls to foxes. I've heard packs of coyotes, all while listening to music blasting out of cars. It's a wonderful mix of urban and nature mixed into one. One of the greatest pleasures I have is sitting on our deck with a view of the park. Well, the park is now going through a 2-year construction project to remove old sewer lines that were foolishly designed to empty into our lakes. So workers have to rip up these old lines and install new lines, which will take at least 2 years and require work around the clock. And I didn't even know this. That includes Saturdays. I learned this yesterday. Some of our favorite trees have had to be cut down to make room for this project. And I notice all the different levels of attention going on. On one level, for myself, I can say, this work has to be done to have cleaner bodies of water. But watching the process is really unpleasant at times and extremely uncomfortable. And I feel in myself a pining for the past. Before this time of construction, when the view and experience we had was quiet and full of animals and trees and no workers. I find my mind going back and forth between these two visions, comparing the past with the present, and every single time the past wins. And I think this is happening all the time. The kind of comparison with what is in front of us, with an idea of what we had, or what could be possible if things were different. And I think on one level, that's a wonderful thing. It shows us what we love, what we care about. It shows us we can improve or beautify, make something better. But it can also narrow our attention too. So as an experiment, we tried to experiment with this. We sat on our deck, having a drink, in full view of these large gray tubes, gutted street, piles of gravel, and we just sat there. It was kind of weird at first, and I couldn't stop comparing it to what it was. But there were these small moments when I noticed a squirrel dangling from a tree, or a blue jay eating birdseed we set out, and I tried to imagine the world from their perspective. A land full of bounty. Still enough trees for nesting. A house, our house, which is a constant. I've learned that in some ways a squirrel might have more sense than me. Or at least a different view. I started to imagine the workers who have to come early in the morning, and in many cases, work in snow and cold. So this is funny. They poured mounds of gravel near our house, 30 to 40 feet high. And so when we had heavy snowfall, it covered all the gravel, and we had this great view of the mountains. For about 3 weeks before the melt, we had these great, majestic mountain views right outside our window. I walked outside when we had the heavy snowfall, and I felt like I was in a completely new place, feet away from our house, a place I had walked over and over and over for years. This kind of attention shows me how quickly things can change. And in the long term, some change seems to be for the better, even if I can't experience it right now, in the moment. On Monday and Tuesday of this week, I was in a training for chaplains connected to the Youngstown Police Department. I'm a volunteer chaplain. I'm on call every 6 weeks for the Youngstown Police Department. And so it was a training for 2 days offering crisis intervention for first responders, EMTs, firefighters, police. It was powerful and a much needed reminder how tough it can be to make the transition from our attention witnessing really upsetting things to then having to make the transition opening up to spending time with family, friends, community after it. Especially if there isn't a place to talk about what was witnessed or paying attention to how it affects us. Much of chaplaincy is creating a space for someone to have their honest experience and to be a reminder that it's normal. and that none of us have to stay stuck there forever. That in facing it with some support, we can get unstuck. And in a way, it can be helpful to depersonalize it. That was a big reminder I had during the training. To be able to notice and express clearly. This is what the body and mind tends to do when put under this kind of circumstance or stress. This is how our attention works. Here's a reaction in the body that is normal when you're put under these kind of conditions. These reactions are normal when faced with life or death situations, especially on a daily basis. But those reactions may feel out of sync at a child's soccer game, at a church potluck, when we come home to try to have dinner with our families. And there is help for that when we can pay attention to how we're reacting and living our life. One of the mantras that came up during the training, which I swear I didn't give to them, was "Today is a new day." Today is a new day. And we can learn to see this day as a gift. It's a choice. And it's a choice we can practice making. And we don't have to be very good at it. We can just try. I feel really honored to be on call to minister to first responders. It was eye-opening for me to learn how much I had in common with those who chose to be chaplains, even of different faith traditions. A real curiosity about how attention works, how attention can open up our life, and how with support, nothing has to be off limits from our attention. Nothing. It can be practiced. One of the other chaplains is a veteran who served in a war recently, in combat. And he shared with us his wisdom and how offering a ministry of just presence, just being there with someone, can help us form new pathways, ways of getting our attention unstuck. It was a very powerful 2-day training, and a new community was formed in the process over the 2 days. I seem to never tire of being reminded that all of us have experienced things that are not obvious by looking at us, and that each of us has done our best to get here today. And there's always room for growth and healing. Today is a new day. And sometimes that can happen in powerful and quiet ways through just hanging out together, forming new pathways and new ways of thinking that can meet and pair alongside our experience. That was a reminder I had, that we're not trying to change, challenge, correct, or make pretty someone's experience, including our own. We're just open to a new pathway that can pair alongside it, that can join it. Some sense of possibility for something else, even if we don't know what it is yet. That as long as we're alive, there is a possibility for something else. A new pathway, a new way of relating to the world. We don't have to be stuck. We do have this amazing capacity, each of us, to shape how we show up in the world. Even if it's only by a hair, by a fraction, only by a little bit. It's a crack, enough for the sunshine to notice us. You know, I shared at our Worship Associates meeting last month, I'm amazed by all the different ways our attention can work as a congregation. And I've shared this before, and I'll share it again, in case you don't know. And right on cue, you are meant to come into this place and be distracted. You really are. You notice these windows? They're supposed to draw you into the world. Sounds, experiences. They're meant to give us a different experience of ourselves. And if you hear some good words, if you hear some beautiful music, that's great. But honestly, not a requirement. It's just a space that's different, that's supposed to draw your mind different places, so you can know yourself a little bit differently. So I've noticed some funny things about my attention. I can remember faces forever. When we lived in New York City, we would be in giant crowds of people, and I would recognize 2 or 3 people I've had one meeting with 4 or 5 years ago. But I forget to where to put dishes in our kitchen cupboard. I can remember pieces of a lecture from over 10 years ago, but I forget which drawer my socks go in. I can remember the smell of a meal I had as a child, but I don't know if I could tell you what I had for breakfast 3 days ago. Where our attention goes and why is a mystery to me. But I find it fascinating when I'm in a community like this, and I learn all the different ways attention works. I'm very big picture with my attention, and not so great with details. And it's been a great exercise to learn from people how to focus on details. And I'm not going to pretend that I've grown a lot. I'm just a hair, just a little bit, a slight new pathway, a suggestion. And I do this for myself, and I share this with you in case it's helpful. At moments when I feel stuck, I only suggest to myself, it's a suggestion, I wonder if there might be another way. I don't tell myself there's another way. I just say, I wonder if there might be another way. Achtung, baby. I remember when I first came to this church, and prayer wasn't part of what we did. It wasn't part of the hour before I came. And I thought it would be a very big deal to bring prayer into this space. And I think the first sermon I preached was the problem with prayer, about how our ideas of attention and prayer can get in our way. And we had this service, and a man who was an atheist, a member of the church, came up to me and said, I love that service. And I said, really? Including the prayer part? And he said, oh, I love that part. And I said, why? He said, because you don't pray like a religious person. And that was a learning for me. Through his attention, I learned what I was really doing all along. So please pray with me. Spirit of love and of sunlight and joy, thank you for this time together. Thank you for these beautiful people. We pray for those who are impacted by warfare at this moment. We really do. And we pray for peace. And we pray we may be able to notice what is in front of us, a community of beautiful people who desire and deserve affection and growth and friendship. All this we pray with all our hearts. Amen. And please rise and body your spirit for our closing hymn.
You hear, oh my friend, in the place where you stand, through the sky, through the land, do you hear, in the heights, on the plain, in the vale, on the main, in the sun, in the rain, do you hear, do you hear? Through the roar, through the rush, through the throng, through the crush, do you hear in the hush of your soul, of your soul? Hear the cry, hear the still, hear the heart's call to will, hear a sigh, startling trill in your soul, in your soul. From the place where you stand to the outermost strand, do you hear, oh my friend, do you hear, do you hear? All the dreams, all the dares, all the sighs, all the prayers, they are yours, mine and theirs. Do you hear? Do you hear?
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we hold in our hearts until we are together again.
as you depart. That's so moving to me for some reason right now. Please remember the one great fact: you are loved and never truly alone.